Okay.
Well, howdy, folks, and welcome to TK Live for Friday, December 30th. Right off the bat, let's talk about, hey guys, we're in a new studio. Check it out. We're out of the cold garage. Winter is once again coming, and we wanted to get out of the cold. And the real truth is, I finally got high-speed internet at my house, so we're able to do this now. I live out in the sticks, and before the internet was beaver-powered, but now I got good internet, so we can finally do live shows here. So yeah, I built a little studio.
Well, that and Matthew refused to clean up his garage, and it was starting to get to be an issue.
Hey. According to our fans, my garage was pretty clean compared to theirs.
Yeah, well, you couldn't see the whole thing. There was sort of a narrow viewpoint.
The garage worked well for the time we needed it, but now we're indoors, we're in the warmth, so we're going to bring these live shows to you all winter long.
We're getting fancy.
Yeah, we're trying to anyways. So what is TK Live? Well, first of all, we like to sit down and talk about pickup trucks. Surprise, surprise. We like to go over the latest news in pickup trucks from the last few weeks. We go over what we're doing at the channel, what we've reviewed lately, what we're going to review. And then probably the biggest thing is we want to talk to you guys. We want to answer your questions. We want to interact. So please drop your questions in the chat right now. Or you can send us an email at hey, that's HEY, at truckking.ca. And we will do our best to get you guys answers on whatever truck questions you have.
Yep, well, I will.
Yeah, cool. Well, hello in Montreal, hello in Quebec, hello in Russia. We appreciate all you guys tuning in.
До свидания.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. That's cool. So, what else is going on right now? It's also the end of the year. We're
last show of the year.
We're coming up to New Year tomorrow. And so we want to take the chance to wrap up 2022. You know, put a bit of a bow on it. Talk about our favorite experiences. So
It was a big year.
it was. We did a lot.
We hit 100,000 followers this year.
That's true. Subscribers.
Where's the
plaques,
hardware? On the wall.
Plaques
Yep.
on the wall.
Yeah, that was cool, and we're carrying on. So apparently a few people like what we do.
Yeah. So I don't know, Dad, why don't you lead us off with what was your highlight from 2022? What was your favorite drive of the year?
Well, I mean, I got to say, mostly because I'm the guy that set it up, is our trip to the Arctic. This is something that I worked on with Toyota for actually a couple of years. And we drove from Vancouver 4,000 kilometers north through British Columbia, all the way up through the Yukon, into the Northwest Territories, and finally ending up at Tuktoyaktuk on the Arctic Ocean. It's an unbelievable drive. If you haven't seen it, there's a 7-part series right here on the channel. I encourage you to go find it. You don't need to listen to us blabbering. Just check out the scenery. That's pretty amazing. But the other cool thing is, as a Canadian, I felt very proud about the fact that, we've pushed this road all the way to the Arctic Ocean, and it is now possible in Canada to drive from ocean to ocean to ocean. Which wasn't the case 2 years ago. So that's kind of a really cool thing. And there's no doubt that was the big one for the year in terms of the North. Past that, I had a real good time out in the California desert running the Chevrolet Silverado ZR2. I love going off-roading, and most of the stuff that we do here in Ontario is fairly low speed, can be kind of technical and then, muddy. So for us, it's wicked cool to get out into the desert once in a while and just really, really go fast. So that was, those two are mine.
There are some examples of us going fast and Dad getting airborne in our very recent video.
That's true. We find a way.
I keep getting egged on by the cameraman. Go faster.
Well, piggybacking on Dad, the Arctic trip was obviously a highlight. I personally had never been to the top of the world. These guys, I think, that was a second time for both of you.
It was, yeah.
So for me, that road was pretty epic, is the only word to use there.
Totally.
But an interesting thing from that video is the teaser video that Steve put together, where there was this really cool shot of a tundra coming through this wall of impenetrable blowing snow. Well, that was not shot in the Arctic Circle. That was shot just up the road in Elmvale, Ontario, one snowy afternoon in late March when Stephen and I were filming filming, was it the Ram 1500 with e-torque and the new Tundra with the twin turbo, non-hybrid.
Right.
So we were just shooting a fuel comparison, and we thought, oh, we'll turn down this side road, and we'll do a little bit of running around for some shots. And the next thing we know, we were lost in a blizzard.
It was bad.
It was bad. They were closing the roads. The police were shutting everything down, and Steve decided to get out and shoot the trucks. Multiple people stopped and asked if he was okay.
Two
if it
people
was,
stopped and said, "Hey man, what are you doing out here?" I'm like, "I'm just getting a shot. It's okay. I know what I'm doing."
It was like an elderly person had wandered out the front door without their leash. It was people were worried about us, but it gave us that shot that looked as if we were at the top of the world. But
Yeah.
nope, just up here in southern Ontario.
That was a crazy day. So yeah, Ram 1500 versus Tundra. If you want to see any of that footage, and you know what, I'll cap it off. And I have two, and they're both kind of recent, but again, they're just the craziest vehicles. First of all, the Ford Raptor R. Dad and I took the Raptor R up north. We ran it on all of our trails. And it made them look so easy. It always does, right? Because that thing is so impressive. But then Dad mentioned going fast. I love to go fast too. And that truck, when you're flying along at 60 miles per hour and it's just eating whoops, it's such a satisfying experience. Nothing that big and heavy should be able to go that fast over that kind of terrain.
Yeah.
And that truck just soaks it up. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is a fun day.
And then the other ridiculous one this year, which kind of sticks out to me, Dad, is the Wrangler 392. Huge V8 in the Jeep. And Dad and I had an off-road adventure that day. I'll give you a little behind the scenes. Once again, go check out that review. But I'm going through our trails. The Wrangler 392 is making all of our trails look so easy because it's so impressive. And then we come across this massive log that has fallen across the trail.
And I told him not to do it.
He did. He was the voice of reason. And I'll admit this. If I owned that vehicle, if I'm out off-roading, I'd probably move that log. But I looked at Dad and I said, no. This is the Wrangler 392. This is the craziest Jeep they've ever built. We're going through the log. And I didn't go through the log.
The log went through you.
I high-centered right away, both differentials up on this silly log, and I learned my lesson that day that, yeah, even a soft, rotten log, it didn't matter. Just high-centered on the diffs, and it doesn't matter how good the vehicle
All
is.
4 wheels spinning like a little turtle.
Yeah,
going nowhere.
Once you got no traction, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, those were the big ones, and the Arctic for me stands out too, of course. I mean, the Dempster Highway was just amazing. You're just out in the middle of nowhere, wild scenery, the interesting characters you meet in the north too.
Yeah.
Everyone who winds up living up there in the Yukon, Alaska, Northwest, they're all interesting folks.
They're all a little strange.
You got to be a little to want to live in a place like that. Greatest people on the planet.
Wonderful
friendly
people, yeah.
You may remember our poor little trailer we were towing. Well, we met one colorful local who told us if the trailer doesn't make it back, just park it on the side of the road, write Reggie on it. And I was like, well, how will they know to get you? And he was like, don't worry, they'll know me. They'll come get it, I'll come get it. They'll let me know. Just leave it on the side of the highway, he'll come get it.
Yeah.
So Reggie, if you're watching, it made it back. Sorry about it.
Sorry, pal.
The other highlight was Eagle Plains, which is right in the middle of the Dawson or the Dempster Highway.
Halfway between Dawson and Inuvik.
And it's the only place you're going to stop to get gas. It's the only place you're going to
It's the
stop
only
to
place.
eat. It's the only place. And so we pull in there, and there's one fella working, and that guy was working so hard. He was pumping gas, making food. And the best line from Paul was, so Paul, how long have you been working here? Well, I quit 3 days ago, but I can't leave because I can't find anyone to replace me.
So they wouldn't let him go.
So poor Paul was there stuck serving us, and we tried to be as nice as we could to him. But yeah, just again, super nice guy. And
He
just
had
doing
to,
it
or
all,
wouldn't have got fed.
Yeah, what a fun trip. If you guys ever get a chance to go up north, it's just amazing roads, great scenery, cool people. Yeah, that was neat. I'm going to back up here and just give a couple more shout-outs because we're getting lots.
Lots of Happy New Year. Happy New Year, love.
Down to Monterey, Mexico, out to Washington, Edmonton, Alberta,
Dawson Creek, BC,
yeah, Nevada. Well, here's a quick Ford Ranger question. You know what? We'll get back to that real quick. Hang on, that's coming up. We are going to talk about that. Happy New Year to Wisconsin. Who else we got out here? Yeah, Happy New Year to all you guys.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. And you know what? That is a cool thing when I see all these different places. This is what I call truck culture. You know, we may all be from different places, even different countries, but when it comes to trucks, there's a certain culture. In other words, we all understand each other, despite the fact that we're not from the same geography.
Yeah, that is true. So we can move on a little bit now. We do have one piece of news that we're going to cover. There wasn't a ton of news over the Christmas holidays, but then the other thing we're going to talk about in this show is all of the trucks coming up in 2023. There's a bunch of new trucks, some of which we've seen, some of which we haven't seen, and we're going to be driving most of them next year, still next year, so we'll get to that. But first, guys, why don't we talk about the Ram TRX Havoc. This is a pretty wild-looking version of the TRX. I'm going to pull it up here for you guys. There we go. So this is the TRX Havoc. To be totally honest, the big deal here is the color.
It's a paint job.
It's Baja yellow. It's a wild color. It looks beautiful against that snow.
Yep.
You do get a bunch of standard features, so you get the upgraded interior package. You get some stitching. But yeah, it's a paint job. TRX didn't need any changes, quite honestly. So what else are you going to do with it?
Well,
right?
this is what Ram is really good at.
They are.
Okay? I mean, you've seen all the special editions, all the different features. This is not a very expensive thing to do, but it's different just enough to attract a certain amount of buyers. So good on them. I mean, they're smart when it comes to marketing.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Price-wise, you're talking about $105,000 in the U.S. Once again, no real surprise, but yes, it is expensive.
It's in that neighborhood.
Every time you hear a number like that. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of that TRX Havoc? I think that's it. Stellantis in general are just the masters of keep on adding new additions, special paint jobs, things you can't get next year.
Few more options, a new color.
Yeah, and it seems to work. It really does, especially with Challenger Charger. That's like a masterclass right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the one heavy duty that we have been able to drive so far, which is a 23, is the Ram, and they gave it the Rebel package.
Sure.
So now, in that case, there are some mechanicals, but again, nevertheless, the basics. 92% of that truck is dead the same, and it's just the fact that now it's a 2500, and we're calling it a Rebel.
It was a parts bin truck. They had all that stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
It's
they
already on the
threw it
shelf.
together.
They put it together. Listen, for some people, it's going to be perfect. But like I said, once again, they're just real smart doing what they can do, because I think of the big three, they're the guys with the smallest development budget.
Yeah, it feels that way, no doubt about it. So they got to be more creative.
Yeah.
What else? We got a couple more shout-outs. Hey from Texas.
Yep,
Happy New
Brunswick.
Year. Our pal the Jarmel or Yarmel. Happy New Year to California. We appreciate you almost always commenting first.
Almost
Trust me,
always.
we notice.
You're on that. You're
Yes,
on the
indeed.
ball, man.
Yeah, happy
Mr.
New Year out to New Brunswick.
Mr. Wolf, you guys deserve way more views and subs. Such an underrated channel. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Spread the
ya.
word. Share us.
There you
Share
go.
us around. Help us
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Butler, Pennsylvania. Cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. Why don't we move on to what's coming? So, and we will start with the question we had, which was about the Ford Ranger. So
Yeah,
right
and
up
we're going to
here.
get into that. I guess, like right off the top, I just want to say that, 22 was okay, but 23, we got a lot of new stuff coming. So it's going to be an exciting year. So, yeah, start right off with the Ranger.
Truly, and the cool thing with the Ranger, of course, is that we've already seen it. The photos you're about to see here, I pulled them off the Ford Australia media website, because in other parts of the world, Europe, Australia, this truck's fully revealed. So we've already seen it. It looks cool. They have a Ranger Raptor already. The only question we have in North America is, when will we get it? When's it actually going to arrive? The question you asked in the comments there, Mark, was, will it be Chicago Auto Show? That makes a lot of sense in my brain. Chicago, the
Chicago's
truck already
typically-
exists. So they're not waiting around for someone to develop something. It's there. So why not bring it out in Chicago? That's early in the year, February, I believe.
February,
right?
yeah.
So Chicago makes a lot of sense to me. We haven't heard anything which sort of suggests maybe it wouldn't be Chicago, because I thought they would announce by now, but
Yeah,
We don't know.
I mean, there's a shift, and in general, you're right. Chicago typically was the truck show, but interestingly enough, the new Ram EV is dropping next week at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. So there are certain moves that they're making. That and the fact that the Detroit Auto Show, which was always the first week of January,
Yeah.
is no longer
Which would have been
in
perfect for
January,
Ranger.
which is where we used to always sort of see what was coming for the year. Now, well, that's now been pushed into September, so it's really of no consequence anymore. And frankly, a lot of the manufacturers now are doing virtual reveals, and for their purposes, they work probably as good or better than spending a pile of money going to an auto show. So yeah, we can't count on the auto shows being the only place to see new stuff.
Well, and I mean, we've seen that this year. Ford pulled out of the Toronto Auto Show.
Yeah, here
that's
in
our
Canada.
local
Yeah,
show.
here in Canada, Ford
I mean, and I said some
we're
of the-
not coming, and Toronto's the biggest show, and they're not coming.
Some
And
of the
Vancouver Auto Show was canceled altogether in
Yep,
Canada because
that's
they
right.
just couldn't support it. So you're right. Auto shows they're not looking.
They're
great these
changing
days, no
quickly.
doubt.
They have to.
So then I guess to answer the question in that long-winded way, I would guess the first quarter of this year we'll see the Ranger for
Yep.
North
Yep.
America. It makes sense. It's been around. Yeah, hopefully we'll see it soon.
Well, and the Colorado and the Canyon, probably also by spring, I would think.
Yeah, same thing. They should definitely be by spring. Those are also trucks that have been fully revealed. We have the numbers, we have the specs. We just don't know when we're going to see them. We've heard a couple of things about that truck, and I would say spring for sure.
Yeah.
We'll actually have our butts in seats in those trucks, which is exciting. And needless to say, we're going to make a video about that and bring it to you guys as soon as we can.
Toyota Tacoma
Yeah.
should be shown this year. May not be available to drive, and I'm betting it's going to be very late in the year.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to say.
Well,
As
considering
far
they
as
teased it so far back.
Yeah.
Like, we saw that original teaser rendition of what it's going to look like a year ago.
yeah.
So-
Although when they showed that, they didn't call that the Tacoma. They called it like the next gen EV pickup.
Yeah.
So they were like loosely hinting at it.
Yeah.
But you are right. They did show us something, and it sucks to let it sit there forever and just
Yeah,
have you looking at.
and
this
when it comes to
concept.
Toyota, they
I mean-
are the most secretive company amongst all of them.
Well,
so
and the feelings I've
you
got
just don't know.
talking with David Chow as well. We did a video recently on the channel talking about the future of the 4Runner with our friend David Chow from another YouTube channel, Automotive Press. And he was actually sort of talking about how Toyota pushed the 4Runner back. They delayed it now because we were already expecting that. So there's definitely been some shifts, some shakeups. What can we expect from the Tacoma? I think a little bit more of the same. I don't think Toyota will ever be the company to kind
Not
of go
going far
crazy
afield.
and push really past everyone else. However, I do really expect there to be a hybrid. We've seen spy photos. In the spy photos, they've seen the hybrid. It's been speculated everywhere, so I think that's almost a safe bet at this point.
It's at least hybrid. If it's
Yeah.
not a full BEV.
Well, that would be
Like,
the cool, right?
That
If they
would
go
be the
full.
that would be the jump to do.
But
If they're
then
taking this long anyway.
the question would be, you can't just go full electric. You got to still have a powertrain plus the electric truck. I think we see this year ICE Tacoma with the regular old engine. Then we'll get the hybrid. Then we'll get the electric.
They sell everyone they build. They've got a winning formula.
Yep.
We complain about it, but you know what? They make a pile of money.
So don't change too much.
Why do you mess with it? So they're going to do things gradually.
Yeah. Yeah, which kind of is the Toyota way. Plus, we can also look at the Tundra for some information here, right? That's
Yep.
exactly what they did with Tundra. It's also an NA engine and a hybrid. That's probably, and actually, I think the dash out of the Tundra, the infotainment system, that's probably going to be in the Tacoma as well.
There's no
Toyota
reason
doesn't
why that-
redevelop a new system; they just build one and then put it everywhere. So I can totally expect that to be coming to
There's
Tacoma.
no reason
too.
why that powertrain won't find its way into the Tacoma either. Tacomas famously run V6s.
Man, the twin turbo V6 in the Tacoma is my wish. That's my number one Christmas
what a,
wish.
What a truck that would be.
Well, that would be something.
TRD
wouldn't it?
Pro Tacoma with the twin turbo V6 would be a
Hybrid.
monster.
Mm.
Yeah, they won't play that game probably, but man, that would be cool. So yeah, next we do have the HDs. So Dad mentioned the Ram already. Ram did the least. It was mostly just massaging some packages and the way it looks, a couple things here and there.
New tow mirrors.
The mirrors are definitely cool. We appreciate the new tow mirrors. But then at the other brands, at Ford and at Chevrolet, at General Motors, we're talking about brand new trucks, basically full overhauls. And quickly, we'll just take a break to thank Sam for his $5 donation.
Thanks, Sam.
We appreciate you. Anyone else watching, if you want to toss us a couple bucks, it goes a long way to helping us keep making the videos you
These
like.
mugs are empty. Please help.
We're just pretending. So yeah, what did we talk about first? I think Super Duty. I mean, Ford just did so much with this new Super Duty. Cameras, technology, power. The numbers are just ridiculous. This is the 40,000-pound towing truck.
Yeah. This is the one that really made me kind of go, okay, I think you guys have gone right over the hill here. Like it's too much. I don't want to be towing 40,000 with a pickup truck.
It is a crazy amount. The truck you're looking at here in the photos is just the F-250 Tremor. It was also updated. You know what? Yeah, Ford's on top of their game. They're best in class everywhere they need to be best in class. It's a little thing maybe, but I thought it was really cool that they put that camera in the edge of the tailgate. So when you drop your gate, you still get your reverse camera. These are the things we've hit that point where these guys are going, what else can we do here?
Yeah.
And those are the smart innovations they're coming up with. So yeah, I'm excited to drive the Super Duty. I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think you need to tow 40,000 pounds with the Super Duty, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Most of the trucks sold will not be able to tow that much. And yeah, I think that the smart engineering.
Most of the guys buying them won't tow that much.
Exactly.
However, Super Duties do tow a lot, and it's a very capable vehicle, and it's a big money maker for Ford because these trucks are typically over $100,000.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's wild, and they're all becoming so capable and so packed with technology. Same thing with the Chevy HDs. I can pull it up for you here. So yeah, Chevy and GMC came out. They announced before Ford, so their numbers are not quite as crazy. Although Chevy came out right off the bat and said, we're not playing the best-in-class game. We're going to offer you more torque at lower RPM, basically more usable torque. That's all they've said to us. We have not had the chance to put our butt in the seat of one of these trucks, so we can't necessarily vouch for whether that's true or not. But there's two different strategies at play. General Motors is not playing that game where they chase the numbers, and Ford is chasing those numbers at all costs. Right? So, new HDs, though, it's exciting to see. And I think the other notable absence from the market is different powertrains. No electrification, no plug-ins, no hydrogen, nothing. We've just stuck on diesel still.
And didn't Ford say they're resurrecting some old engines, too, this week? They're bringing back the 7.3 in next year, and it's like, why are you resurrecting old power plants?
They're just keeping them alive, I think. But yeah,
Well, they are, and quite honestly, in the HD segment, electrification doesn't make sense right now. 90% of those trucks tow regularly. You tow, and we did. We towed with the F-150 Lightning. Great tow vehicle. Really, really crappy distance that we got.
Yeah.
Because your tow, that electric, man, it goes to half. Your range drops to half. So, and most people that buy heavy duties are in a business of some kind. I can't afford to be screwing around looking for a charge station or worse than that, have my employee screwing around looking for a charge station because I know how long it's going to take him. So, no, we're just going to keep on with the gas and the diesel and get the job done. And that's going to be the way it is for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that segment's just not ready to go yet, right?
No.
And we'll still have to see how the rest of the EVs do. And then it's actually the next batch of trucks we want to talk about because, of course, we have the F-150 Lightning that's on roads right now. And then we have the Chevy Silverado EV. Now, it's been fully revealed, but again, it's not actually on the road. In 2023, this truck is going to hit the road. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to drive one. And again, it's an interesting difference. Ford basically took their F-150 and put an electric powertrain into it. Chevrolet went ground up. They have that Ultium platform, the skateboard, and then they build off of that. So it's a whole different kind of packaging exercise, the GM to the Ford. So I can't wait to get in that Silverado. First of all, use the midgate, because that thing's cool. And it's cool that they brought it back. And then just see, the differences, because they've taken a very different approach than the Lightning did.
Very true.
Yeah. And the one smart thing I'll also say for Chevrolet, I was worried because they originally revealed that first edition truck, which again is, $120,000, full of technology, biggest batteries, etc., etc. But they also told us already that the first truck to launch is going to be the work truck. They're actually going to launch the base model EV first. And I appreciate that. I like that they're giving a nod to guys who actually need to go out there and get stuff done with these trucks. Because even though a lot of them will be mall cruisers, Not all of them will be, and the EV, the whole electric side of it, makes them great for hard work.
Oh,
At a
yeah.
construction site, being able to plug into these trucks is going to be, I think, a revelation. There's a lot of new advantages that people are going to learn about real soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Having all that power available to you, off grid, off site. That's a big deal.
It's cool. So yeah, Silverado EV, and then of course Ram. Dad mentioned this. Ram is behind, if you want to look at it that way, but they are the last of the big three to launch their electric half ton, and it's coming next week. I hope I'm not wrong. I want to say January the 6th, but it is next week. If you look it up, it's been announced. It's at CES in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And Dad mentioned that too, right? That's a big shift. They're not going to auto shows anymore. They're going to the Consumer Electronics Show because, I mean, the
It
electric
fits.
vehicles, yeah, they're full
Yep.
of so much technology
It really is.
that they almost fit into that world just like they fit into automotive.
Well, the other part of it, and this is actually very shrewd, is that if they go to, say, an auto show, guys like us who are automotive press, we will cover it. However, regular press usually takes a pass on that stuff. You go to the Consumer Electronics Show, you've got a bazillion guys who normally talk about Apple Watches who will do a bit on this vehicle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're going to get a tremendous amount of coverage in very unusual places by not going to an auto show.
And
Yeah,
you
it's
guys have seen it already too. I think in that CES world, maybe that market is a little more conducive to purchasing EVs, being the first time purchaser.
That's fair, yeah.
I know you guys probably hear it all the time. I hear it all the time on the dealership floors, which is, oh, I'm never going to buy that electric crap. Constantly.
Sure.
This is the constant rhetoric. And I'm sure if I had a time machine, I could hear people saying, I'm never giving up my horse for a car. So
You're right.
there-
You're absolutely right.
It's just that wave, but maybe
Yep.
this push to market in such a place like that will be that thing. The guy that loves Tesla, he's watching probably that CES
Yep,
show.
yep.
Oh, cool. Ram's got a truck. I could use a truck. What for? I don't know, but I can use it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's definitely, they're looking for new ways to market just as much as they're looking at new propulsion systems, right? It's not just about the nuts and bolts of it. It's how do we sell this thing too, and that's definitely changing. The electric trucks are going to be exciting next year. And the next one that we can touch on real quick is the Tesla Cybertruck, because it's the one we hear about the most, and it's also the one we know the least about, because Tesla, in typical Tesla fashion, has overpromised and underdelivered. They've told us the truck was going to be on the road. It keeps getting pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. It, also in typical Tesla fashion, I do believe it will become real. Because generally Tesla says things, and then they don't happen when Elon says, but eventually they do. So I think we're going to get it. But if I was a betting man, I don't think we're getting it in 2023. 24, 25 maybe. I don't think it's coming this year, just based on sort of the lack of information we've had about it. And because they're building the Semi now, and that thing's actually real. So we know Tesla gets stretched pretty thin. I bet they're busy building those trucks as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to say.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Touching on other new products, though, Sam, again, our donator, thank you. He asked this question.
Sure.
Talking about Ram being late to the party, do you think that Ram or Stellantis will bring back the Dakota?
Yeah, this is another
I
one.
think it makes sense. Is if you're gonna go to the mid-size game in this market, you got a name that works.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I've had these conversations with insiders, at Stellantis. And see, so the good news is that Ram has compact pickups that they sell in Mexico and also in South America. So, in other words, they already have an existing truck which would have to be tweaked for the North American market. However, if they wanted to go in that direction, they could do that. Or they could go, clean sheet of paper. But my fear, and this is you guys tell me what you think, I think that they're blowing all their dough on this new Ram electric truck, and nothing's going to be left over to bring us a compact Ram.
Yeah. Well, and the other question too is, like, I agree with what you're saying about money, but it's also, how compact are we talking? Are we talking straight Ford Maverick competitor, or are we talking just a mid-sized truck?
No, definitely it's Maverick competitor. I don't think they need to drop back into that mid-range. I mean, frankly, that's where Dakota fell out.
Sure.
So
and they
why
have Gladiator.
And it's where Gladiator sits,
And they've
exactly.
got Gladiator, so why repeat that?
Sure.
But Maverick has proven that there's a market there. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, and make it even smaller. And the Dakota name is strong. But yeah, we've kind of, like Dad said, we've asked, we poke and pry at the PR people and the engineers. And the sense I'm getting is they kind of laugh it off, but I don't think it's actually happening. You know, I think Dad's right. That
Yeah, they
they're
want to do
pouring-
it,
Yeah.
but I think, they're not telling us, but in the next breath, they're kind of going, yeah, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Gladiator. I personally know that it took them the better part of 15 years to bring Gladiator to market.
Yeah.
All right, I saw a completely running mule in New York City in 2005, and then it just vanished until finally we saw it 2 years ago.
Yeah, which actually is almost my fear, although I wouldn't hate it, but a Gladiator reskinned as a Dakota honestly makes the most sense if you're talking dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Because it won't cost that much. You have the platform, build a new body, make it look like a Ram, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah,
right?
so they got options.
We'll see
so
what they do.
The truth is, your guess is as good as ours.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. For a while, I felt really strongly that Dakota was coming back. But yeah, these days, I don't know. We haven't heard too much about it. It would be exciting, though. More small trucks is a good thing. And actually, another one I want to touch on real quick, that is the Chevy Montana. Because Chevrolet in Brazil, they just revealed a fully redesigned compact truck called the Montana. Again, just for the South American market. There's no inklings that it would come to North America. If it did come here, they would have to build it here to get around the chicken tax. That's always the big deal. But the point there is that, yes, Chevrolet has the same thing. General Motors has those tiny little mid-sizers ready to show up and fight against the Maverick. We just got to see if they actually pull the trigger on it or not.
Sorry, just backpedaling a little. Wasn't Montana the moniker of the minivan?
Yeah, the Chevy
Yeah.
Montana was the
Like
minivan.
Yeah.
20 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, not even that long
Not even
ago,
that
but
long
about
ago?
10 years ago, there
Okay.
was a Chevy Montana.
Okay.
Was it the Pontiac Montana? Oh.
I don't remember.
No,
anyway.
It just caught my ear when you said it. I was like,
Yeah.
I've heard that name before.
I
But
can't
it wasn't
remember
a
the
truck.
Pontiac one. The Torrent? No, that wasn't.
That was
the
an
Torrent.
SUV.
That was the car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a van. I know it was a van for sure. I just don't remember which
Those
No,
were the
you're
ones
right.
that
We
made
keep-
sense.
step
we-
sibling made it.
We keep reusing the same names.
Okay, well, we got a good one here.
Sure. Yeah. Let's get
Um,
in some questions.
Sure. Is the iteration rate too fast
a
on
good
Ford
question.
and Chevrolet trucks? They never seem to keep any model around for more than 3 to 4 years, and it seems to show in their reliability. How much true carryover is there in all new?
So, you know what? The great example of this one is 2022 Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra, because those were rushed interior updates. And the reason being, people like us, when that truck dropped in 2019, we wouldn't shut up about how bad the interiors were, because they were. They're not good looking interiors, period. And so 2 years later, they rushed through an entire interior update. You don't see that often in other segments, and I feel like in pickup trucks, it's so competitive, and the margins are so fat. They're making so much money here that they can rush to do one of those redesigns. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if you have a feeling on that, Dad. I don't necessarily feel like it's a bad thing.
No, they're
but
reacting
it's-
to the market. On the flip side, the mechanicals all stayed the same.
That is true.
Yeah.
They don't change that stuff that often. They don't change the frames and the engine. That's generally still a 7-year life cycle, I think. Maybe 5 for those manufacturers, but that stuff generally stays.
Depends. Not if you're talking about the 5.7 Hemi.
So, yeah, it's
That's
keeps going and
a
going.
20-year life cycle.
Let's talk about the snail or the tortoise in that race, which is
Toyota.
still the Nissan Frontier.
Oh, true.
The
Yeah.
longest ever to come to all new status.
Yeah,
It's
last
not
year
really
was-
that new.
Last year, when we drove the next generation, it had been 17 years since the previous drop.
Yeah, and even that truck wasn't all new, right? Still hydraulic power steering. Like
It borrowed a lot of tech from the old truck stuff.
Yep.
It's a good point of just saying, like, you got to look into what is all new, right? But something that, I think we should touch on is, and especially at Ford, sorry to pick on you, but there are a lot of recalls right now. Tons of recalls.
Yeah,
And-
bad news recalls.
And that's the question, which is a valid question, is are we speeding these things up too much and then causing all these recalls? I don't have an answer, but it's worth, thinking about at the very least.
Well, it's funny because it piggybacks on this question here. Which truck, Ford, Toyota, Chevy, or GMC,
Pontiac,
has the
Montana.
least? Pontiac, Montana.
Yeah,
Okay,
Kevin,
okay.
you're right.
The
Pontiac,
Chevy
Montana.
Adventure.
Yeah,
Good call.
that's it.
All right. Which truck of Ford, Toyota, GM, or Chevrolet or GMC has the least amount of engine problems? Working in this trade for 10 years,
Sure.
I think the best story I like to tell is I worked at Toyota for a long time, but I've worked at different dealers. I've worked on every brand at this point. And whenever I get a tool flyer from my Snap-on dealer, my Matco dealer, or my Mac tool guy, they all have special tools for fixing Ford, Ram, and Chevrolet engines that you can purchase. I've never seen one of those tools for a Toyota engine. That's my opinion, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, I mean, these are always hard questions to dive into because we hear so many stories. Anecdotes are not data, and it's so hard to properly get that data. Yeah, I don't know. I think every manufacturer has engine issues. I think every manufacturer, for the most part, works them out and does their darndest to make sure they iron them out. I think there is something to not buying a first model year vehicle. I think that's totally a real
That
thing.
is a very smart purchase strategy.
But and maybe I'm being too kind to them, but I believe the manufacturers do their best to correct those things. So I don't know. I don't feel like there's one brand that's like, oh, the reliability is just brutal over there. You know?
No, there are not. We're not selling Ladas over here anymore.
Yeah, there was a day, right? So I'm gonna scroll back up because we had lots of good questions.
Somebody
up
was
here.
asking about the 3-liter
Yep.
diesel.
Right here. Love to hear more thoughts on the Duramax 3-liter. The new LZO, I don't know exactly what that code stands for, sounds to be even better than the LM2.
I don't know the details on this. So they stopped producing that engine for a short period of
Yeah.
time and brought it back online. They had issues. It had problems. We haven't been in an updated one, so I can't comment on it, I guess, is the short answer. But I guess from our experiences with it, it's great. Great diesel. Probably the best half-ton diesel that there has been. And it's funny because it's basically the last one to show up. But, you know, I'd take it over an Eco Diesel. I would have taken it over that Ford diesel all day long.
Very much so.
Even the Titan diesel. Like,
Yep.
it's so smooth and so powerful.
And
It's a
the simple
great
fact
engine.
is it's a straight 6.
Yeah, the
And that in
smooth.
itself, you know, it's just inherently better in terms of vibration and noise.
Yeah.
And then stepping away from engines for a second here, do you think other manufacturers will compete in the Pro Power onboard market?
I
Yes.
hope so.
I think it's a no-brainer for everybody.
I think when it happened, I looked at it and said, why didn't anyone do this yet?
I was asking for it years before.
We're brilliant.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I think what got me, and
but
quite
every
honestly,
engine's a
this goes back to
generator.
Toyota. Most people will remember that, you know, 10 years ago or more, Toyota brought out a 400-watt plug in the bed.
Yeah.
Trouble is, 400 watts is just, you can't run a power saw off it. And it was at that time that I went back and I went, well, if you've already done this and the plug is already there, why don't you give me a lot of juice? So they never did, but that's what, you know, I kept running around all the other guys going, technically when a truck is parked and the engine's running, it's a standing generator.
Exactly.
Okay? Why do I have to go out and buy a separate generator
Yeah.
to work out in the bush? Just give me an outlet. So anyway, Ford was smart enough to do it. I can't see that the other guys won't do it. It
Yeah.
just makes sense.
Yeah, that's it. And it's another, I think, low-cost option for them that they can charge a bunch for.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why wouldn't you want
Sure.
to? And actually, maybe even in other vehicles, too. Like, you know, 4Runner, Wrangler. Oh, my goodness. These vehicles will be amazing with that power. So
Overland guys would lose their minds.
Exactly, right?
No
So
kidding.
I can see it spreading way further across the market. And then needless to say, once we get into vehicles with big old battery packs in them, well, you
Well,
don't need the
now you
generator
got all
anymore.
your power.
Especially with hybrid applications, like any truck that's already got the electric motor there, it doesn't take much more wiring and setup to change that into what you need at the plug at the back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. We actually, when we get F-150s with the power boost and we're up north, we always use it. Like, we have lights that run off the generator. If we want to run tools out in the forest, we always use the truck when we have it, and it's way quieter. That's the first thing you notice, right? It's an engine at idle or a little bit above idle
Yeah.
versus our noisy knockoff Chinese generator, which does not sound very good. So it's handy. It's one of those features that we bring it home and we end up using it right away, and I think that just proves that it's really good in the real world. Alrighty. Yeah, those old GM minivans, there was a whole bunch of them, right?
Oh yeah, they're out there. They're still running around. I think the old Pontiac owners should form a club.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we appreciate the shout out from Alabama. We got a shout out from Illinois.
I got one here. Well, it's a two-parter. It was one from earlier and one right now. Mr. LW Road says, love your channel. Looking forward to what you have in store for 2023. And that piggybacks on one we received earlier tonight with, hey guys, what have you got planned for members of the Truck King channel in 2023?
That is a good one. And of course, we do appreciate all our members. I mean,
Yes.
I mentioned this already. Any dollar that we get, we pour it right back into making these videos as good as we can. That being said, you guys are members and you deserve something. You may have noticed, I think we uploaded 2 members videos last year. So the goal next year is 4. No, the goal next year is at least a bunch. We're just gonna, while we're on shoots, the easiest thing that we can do for you guys is give you a lens behind the scenes. So as long as Dad reminds me, or I'll remind Dad, and Matt, when you're there, you got to let us know too. We'll just take a quick little 2-minute clip of, hey, here's what we're doing behind the scenes. That's what I think I'd love to offer to you guys. And please, as members, let us know too. This is a two-way street. Communicate with us. Let us know what you'd like to see. But that's what I'd like to
what
do
you're
more of.
particularly interested in.
Yeah.
And we'll do our best to.
The fun members video we did last year was when Dad pulled his old sailboat out of the water with the Tundra. And that wasn't even in any of our other videos. So it was like, what the heck? Let's film this, put it up for the members. So that's the fun stuff, and we're going to do our best to keep bringing you guys that.
What do you guys want to see more of? Do you want to see more funny stuff? Do you want to see more weird stuff? We can put up a poll of what type of pie to throw at Dad. Like, what do you want to see? Go and, maybe we'll make a post on the community tab.
Why am I comic relief?
You're always getting
Isn't
the
that why
pie.
you're here?
So this is a cool question, actually, from Slap Doctor, which is a great name. What about if Chevy did a mini 4-cylinder Duramax on a hybrid-style electric heavy-duty? So,
Wow.
I mean, a 4-cylinder hybrid, if the power was there with the battery, I guess it could go into an HD.
Yeah.
I think the more interesting idea is just small diesel hybrid. And the fact that no one has gone there yet, and how cool would that be in, say, a half-ton? You know what I mean? I don't know why HD just seems like it's a little too big. But a little 4-cylinder hybrid in a GMC Sierra or
I don't know.
Silverado?
Diesel electric. I mean, like most of you guys know, diesel electric buses have been running around for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And every locomotive going down the tracks is diesel electric.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So there's obviously a mathematical reason that you run diesel, create electricity, let the electric drive the vehicle. I don't know. I think there's still so many cool things to come, and it always comes down to somebody at these companies who's a champion of a certain technology, pushing it through all the layers of bureaucracy and all the bean counters that tell him he can't do it. We'll see what happens.
It's an interesting time, to say the least. All kinds of new stuff coming out every week. Who's going in what direction? Are you dabbling with electricity, or are you dabbling with hydrogen? Or are you going to try and find something completely alternative that we've never heard of before?
Yep.
Every week is something new.
Stellantis did in its long-range plan last year or the year before. They said that they wanted to do hydrogen HGs. And that's a great idea, I think. Although the infrastructure has to catch up, that might be a good application for hydrogen.
And look more locally and more now. You guys just went to was it the Bright Drop factory, if I remember correctly?
Right.
That's here, that's now, that's being built. And it's not passenger car, it's not sexy at all, but delivery vans based on BEV platforms, they're just up the road. It won't take long until that stuff starts to translate into passenger cars.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of that stuff coming on. It's a hard time, keeping track of it all. And here's the thing, too. A lot of people are trying different things. Some stuff will succeed, some stuff won't. Because the weirdest thing is that sometimes, even though it makes sense on paper, people just won't buy it. And ultimately, these guys are all in business.
You mean like Hummers that are retailing for $290,000 right now?
Well, therein lays the other thing. Why would we ever do that? However, the automotive business is much about emotion as it is about engineering. Anybody that thinks that these companies are all run, very clinically and, logically, and they're all based on, all these equations that make total sense. No, it's based on guys who get excited about something, and they're high enough up in the company that they push it through. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they win big, and other times, the Aztec. Sorry,
I was literally about to say
somebody said the Pontiac Aztec was a good idea.
And Walter White appreciated it.
Oh goodness. I don't know if you guys. We haven't driven this engine. I don't think the Hurricane i6.
Yeah, so actually I have.
You have, okay.
But not in the Ram,
Okay.
in the Wagoneer.
Okay.
So we actually,
Right.
we did get a quick chance to go. It was only like a 20-minute drive at our annual Test Fest, which is part of AJAC, which is the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada.
Of which we're members.
Yeah, so we were there. I got the chance to drive it. And you know what? They're pretty typical kind of i6 in terms of there was a little bit of lag, loads of power, Hemi-like power. I won't say more than the Hemi, but Hemi-like. You didn't put your foot into it and think, oh, this thing's underpowered at all. I was only in it for 20 minutes, so I can't comment on the fuel economy. That's going to be the real key there, right? If you can deliver me Hemi-like power, but dial back the fuel economy a bit. However, it's probably a lot like EcoBoost, right? You're either Eco or Boost, not both. So those engines give you the option. If you don't drive them harshly, they can return good numbers. If you are putting your foot into those turbos, they're going to suck down the fuel. But my initial take on the engine was positive. It felt really smooth, really powerful. And yeah, in the Ram, it makes sense. I'm excited for that truck for sure.
Well, Mr. I'm just gonna call him Ja. Is interested in your opinions on the two-door V6 Sasquatch Bronco.
Yeah, man, we've had a lot of Broncos this year too. We did Bronco Raptor. We did Bronco Everglades.
Yep.
We did a two-door Wild Track. We did, and remember we took a rock crawling at Minden Off-Road
Yes,
Park,
yes, we did.
which was pretty cool. We had a four-door something else, Badlands maybe too. We drove a lot of Broncos this year. Two-door Bronco is great. It's great, man.
It's so short.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Jeep.
stubby little wheelbase.
You know,
yeah.
Jeep guys will hate me for saying that, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's
well.
exactly the same thing. And you can get into the tightest places. You get in through the tightest turns. You know what? I really like Bronco. Their issues are more around fit and finish on those things, you know. However, I don't know that you'd ever really buy one and then say, I don't like this. I mean, I don't care whether you buy Sasquatch or Everglades or just, you know, straight up entry level. You're going to love it.
It's fun. It's fun, and that's the other cool thing that Ford does is they don't forget about the enthusiasts among us. They offer you Sasquatch with the base model and a manual transmission. So like they understand what these kind of car guys really want, right? And I appreciate that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Bronco Sasquatch, it's a good one. It's a good one.
All right. Well, talking about our other venture that launched this year,
Sure.
Truck King
Didn't
Power
mention
Sports
it
and
yet.
RV. Any ideas on using ATVs or side-by-sides for things like snow plowing or other attachments and videos, I guess?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, yeah, let's just talk about it real quick. We did launch a second channel. How could I forget that in 2022? TK Power Sports and RVs. As the name suggests, it's power sports and RVs. These were things that you guys probably already saw here on the main channel. We decided to split them off. We want them to live in their own world, and we want the trucks and the automotive stuff to all live on Trucking. So we've done, what have we done? We've done a bunch of ATVs, a Yamaha Raptor. We did a whole bunch of RVs. Dad and I went to the Hershey, Pennsylvania RV show. So I think we're already, 10 to 15 RV walkthroughs up on the channel.
Yeah, we did like 23 walkthroughs.
And
So
more coming. We did a couple PWC videos as well. So yeah, if you guys love any of that stuff, make sure you go find our other channel and hit subscribe right away. Because yeah, we're working hard actually in 2023 to grow that channel.
we got a
lots of
whole
plans.
list of particularly ATVs, side-by-sides, watercraft lined up for this coming year.
Okay, and sorry, we can back up to the question now too, which was just about snow plowing. ATV or sci-fi for snow plowing, other attachments and uses. So let me quickly touch on this. I think we all have opinions
Yeah,
here.
go right ahead.
If I have to choose, I'm taking a snow blower over a plow every day for my driveway.
Yeah.
You're dealing, if you have a lot of space and a lot of space to put the snow, you might be okay. Most driveways, you just suffer from, you run out of space. And if you push the snow off to the sides, when the next snow comes, that snow's hard as a rock, you can't get over it. So that would be my suggestion, is try to find yourself a nice blower. You can get ones that actually have their own little motors that, power them. Yeah, otherwise, if you have to get a plow, a heavier vehicle, right? That's the best suggestion I have is if
Yeah.
you're going side by side versus ATV, go side by side.
Yeah, and that's where I'll chime in because I've had this experience. ATVs and side-by-sides, we're talking about vehicles with 600 pounds to maybe 1,200 pounds max in terms of its own body weight. And it just gets stuck because you got lots of torque to move those wheels. But when that plow digs into anything more than 2 or 3 inches of snow, you're just going to come to a dead stop. Hence the reason why if you see guys using plows, they're driving tractors. Because on a tractor, the wheels alone, because they're full of calcium chloride, the wheels alone weigh 3,000 pounds, right? And then the weight of the tractor, you need weight in behind your torque. So, I would never buy a plow for one of those. I know they sell them.
Yep.
And the guy at the dealership will smile and tell you it's really neat. And I'm telling you, you will be very sad.
It's not that expensive. That's the other selling point.
It's a cheaper solution than a blower.
Than a blower. And that's fair too.
Yeah, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter how much it costs.
Yeah, I guess so. And then you just spend money on something that doesn't work.
And I think as far as reviewing attachments and stuff for side-by-sides and ATVs, if you own a company that makes an attachment or for your ATV or side-by-side,
you know what?
You can email us right now.
Shout out to Yamaha Canada, because when I was still at TFL Off-Road, they lent me a Grizzly with a plow on it, and I plowed Dad's driveway, and I made a video about it. If you go look that up on TFL, it's out there. But if we get the chance to do that stuff, no doubt we will. Every now and then, they'll have a fun accessory for us to test. But usually, that stuff isn't offered to us from the companies. Although we're out there plowing all the time anyways. I'm out there on my John Deere with my snowblower, always blowing. It's been snowing a lot already this year.
Sam, we already addressed the Tacoma thing coming next year. We do believe we will see it this year.
Yeah, we should.
Late in the year. Late in the
year.
We should see Tacoma.
But thanks for asking. Why the move away from long bed mid-sized trucks?
This is a good.
No one buys them?
It has to be, right? It has to just be take rate. Although, when Chevrolet rolled out that new Colorado and they announced crew cab only, it was kind of, they kept saying the same thing, which was production efficiency. They kept talking about that, which they never really talked about before. So I kind of listened and went, you know what? I actually think it was more just to simplify the line, because they've been struggling so much to build trucks over the last 2 years. They went, when we redesign this truck, let's also just straight up make it easier to build. And one way to make it easier to build is to offer less configurations. So I think that was in the back of their mind. And they never had to think about it that much before. But with all this crazy supply chain issues and lack of product, they went, you know what? Now we also need to manufacture with an eye to letting us know this thing is easy to build. So I think that's part of it too. It's take rate, but they also went, we can afford to get rid of these and it'll help us in the long run.
Okay.
That's how I saw that one. But it is a shame, I'll throw it out there. I miss all of those trucks.
Richard E. wants you to know that tractors run beet juice in the tires. No more calcium because of rusting rims.
Well, sadly, mine still do.
And they still rust.
And I've rusted out a couple of spots in my rims, yeah.
So beet juice is your next solution.
Yeah, well, next time I'll put that in there.
Yeah, we actually got a guy to weld them to fix up our old rims because they got so rusted out, which is a good call. Kevin asked too, would you ever review snowblowers or lawn tractors? I did that. I bought a John Deere X350 and I reviewed it on TFL Off-Road. I never reviewed myself cutting grass, only ever blowing the driveway. So I could always get something up on my John Deere up on the channel. I've got a few things I love and hate about it.
And I mean, kind of in that same vein too, Steve and I just shot a how-to maintenance video on his Skidoo Grand Touring 1200.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try our hand at DIY stuff, and you can laugh at how terrible we are if you like.
But yeah, we're trying to keep that stuff coming as well. But we're open to reviewing basically anything. If it has wheels and you can drive it, we will review it. Doesn't actually even have to have wheels. Does it have a track? We'll review that.
Does it
too.
Tracks are good.
Yes. Does it move? Does it drive? We're happy to review anything, man. We're trying to do as much as we can.
If you own an ultralight and are willing to have a grown man giggle the entire time you're flying it, please call us. We'll shoot a video on it.
And I will giggle.
Liam's asking about the canoe truck. You know what? It was a great photo.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I didn't see this one. Sorry, give me a quick
It
rundown.
was a cab over electric pickup.
Okay.
It was even a little bit larger than that.
It was very rounded. It almost looked like those old, the whatever the Volkswagen pickup truck was there.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
van that they cut off.
Well, it's the same thing. Like I said, it's
Looks
just
a
the
lot like
bulbous,
that.
Or
but
that original Dodge van looking
Yeah,
truck with the
exactly.
flat deck on the back. Okay, I follow.
So you know what's interesting actually is just expanding on Canoe is just all of those electric trucks we saw. We also saw the Nikola Badger, and if you followed that story with Nikola, they were cheating their investors, and the CEO ended up, I don't know, getting sued, losing tons of money, getting fired, disgraced. And then we had the Lordstown story, where they were also over-promising things that weren't actually there, and GM was involved, and then they weren't involved. This electric truck thing has been a bit of a frenzy. Everyone said, hey, we got a truck, we got a truck, we got a truck. But then none of them are actually coming to market besides the big three. Rivian, huge shout out to Rivian because they've been there since the start.
Yeah.
And they followed through. And then Cybertruck. But, you know, Cybertruck is still in that vaporware category until we really see them on the road. But, yeah, this whole electric truck thing has been interesting to watch. All of these little flash-in-the-pan trucks kind of come and go and how exciting they were. So I won't say the Canoe won't happen, but if it's anything like the other ones, it might have just been a whole lot of excitement, a whole lot of sizzle with not a lot of meat.
sure. All right, well, here's a practical question. John wants to know, should he buy a used 22 Frontier or bite the bullet and buy a new one?
Is that a lightly used 22 then?
Depends on what kind of shape it is, number one. Number two, if you're looking at a used one, it's real. It's here. You can actually get it. We all know what the supply chain issues are these days. So, again, what's your timing? You need it today? Buy it.
Yeah, that's fair enough because there's no change coming 22 to 23. You're not going to get anything different
Yeah.
next year. I would go for the used one. And I think of all the trucks, that one's got a pretty good reputation for reliability. It didn't change that much, so
True.
I think you're safe going for the 22. Someone asked there too, Liam, about Argos, Pride of Ontario. Yeah, I mean, we love Argos. Dad used to have an Argo. When we were little kids, he had an Argo. He fixed it up. I think you also, your dad reported on Argos. You went out there and watched them being built. No?
Yeah, we've been out
We
to
did.
New Hamburg, and I've done some stuff with them. I've recently been trying to get back in touch with them because, of course, they've expanded their lineup, and they've got some bigger units now. Centaur, I think it's called. This thing
Yeah.
is kind of like the hydro type units that you see out there with the tracks. Really cool. And then, of course, they've got Argo ride-on ATVs. So,
whole lineup.
yeah, so look for those come spring. I'm sure I can talk those guys into giving us some stuff.
Yeah, we're going to keep working on all of that stuff. Yeah, those big Argo Centaurs look crazy. Just wild.
Alrighty, well, I think this is a good one to go out on because I know how much Steve gets fired up about this question. Ahem. Do you think Tacoma will fix the seating position?
So I think the first thing we need to say is that this should be the opportunity for them to fix the seating position because the platform is changing. Okay, so before when we all complained and they said, oh, we adjusted the seat, but all they really did was gave it an extra inch of distance to travel. It was like, no, that wasn't enough, Toyota. You need to change the dimensions of the floor. And they couldn't do that, right? But now they can. So hopefully they do. I can't guarantee it. They must have heard our complaints by now. I know it's not just me. I know a lot of people disagree, but I know a lot of people agree as well that the Tacoma, you sit too close to the floor, your legs are too high up like this, plus I'm 6'2", I'm looking through the top of the windshield. So that combination of things, it's just awkward, man. I'm always awkward in those trucks. So Sam, I really hope they fix that seating position, although I guess we'll have to wait and see. It makes sense that they will. And you know what? Shout out to the Tundra, because on our long trip we complained that the lower cushions weren't quite long enough, and I still feel that way. But on the top end Tundra, it actually has thigh bolsters now, so it brings out those
That
thigh
is nice.
bolsters. Those are nice, man. So if Tacoma can go as far as bringing us thigh bolsters, I'll be a happy man.
No, ATV Seat Exchange says the Argo ATVs are made by Kimco.
I did
So
think
I'm
they were
guessing
buying
they're
them
just
from someone,
a rebadge.
and then I thought they started making them themselves, but I don't know that for
Yeah,
sure.
way,
fair enough.
Either way. All right,
Yeah, we're winding down. What else do we
We're-
got? Any other questions out there?
coming up against 8 o'clock.
Is Ram pushing a new version of the 2500 or 3500? I don't know what you mean by pushing a new version.
No, nothing's going to change there for a while.
Yeah, it won't get
Guaranteed.
all new. That's fair. Yeah, no, I think we're probably just about winding up. So I think, guys, you know what? We've had a great year. We've been busy, and we're gonna keep on bringing you these videos. I mentioned the other channel. Make sure you subscribe to both channels, because then you'll really get a sense for what we're up to. I've done my best to publish as much as we can on both, but Power Sports has been sucking a bit of time away. So make sure you subscribe to both to get the full Truck King experience. And then, 2023, we got Sea-Doos coming up, more RVs, all of those trucks we mentioned. No big trips on the horizon, but I'm sure we're going to dream something.
Oh, we'll come up with something.
Always something.
And hopefully you'll see more of Matt this year. I keep telling him, working for a living is a loser's game. So he needs to come and do some more stuff with us.
Not
Believe
fun
it
to
or
have a
not,
real
he knows
job.
a few
He
things.
wants to retire. He thinks
Well-
we work him like a rented mule.
Fair enough.
And I think one big thing, in addition to what Steve said, if everybody could jump on our channel and hit the notification button.
Sure,
This is
the
one
bell.
big thing that YouTube changed on us this year. But if you guys click on that button, you're seeing what's coming. That helps us out huge, just as much as our members and our donations. It would be greatly appreciated.
Heck yeah. Yeah, and then finally, you see in the new studio, so we're going to try to be back in here every other week for TK Live. So send us your questions, send us your comments. Next show, we'll be talking about that electric Ram, because it'll be revealed.
Yep.
And folks, I think that's it for now. So email us, hey@trucking.ca, and we'll see you in 2023.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Bye, guys.